questions of ethics within the novel, questions of sustainability, landscape, deep time. And Joe will be speaking to his experience teaching writing to design students at Parsons, and how it is a design writer might write differently. A designer might write differently than a novelist. Someone who sets out and states themselves as a novelist to begin, but defines themselves first practically as a designer, right? Using writing in a different way. So I want to ask Peter the first question to get the conversation going and have you two respond, or have a conversation about Peter's description of how it is he, in his multiple roles in his practice, as an architect, and as an architectural educator, and as an artist, and now as a writer, but not only now as a writer whose writing has changed over time and its focus from design criticism and critical theory to now storytelling. And how it is that these different modes of practice have a symbiotic relationship. And they're not separate modes. They may be separate modes, but they overlap in time and space. And how does the one inform the other?
Big question.
I thought I was Well,
that sort of, shape-shifting, slipping identities like snakeskins. It doesn't really feel that way. It feels very much sort of part of what I've always been interested in, the way I've always sort of thought about things. And, I think the things we do produce new things to think about. I think that's sort of part of it. Starting out as an architect and being very, very interested in sort of formal issues of design, brought me to a new understanding of how humanity conducts its affairs and the things we design. That there's a real responsibility there beyond the magnificent lid which I want to interform. We make spaces, and consequently, we're pushing people around. So I think an appreciation of the situatedness of all of us in an environment, whether it's design or natural environment, became a very strong interest. And I brought that into my teaching over time and a lot of my writing, academic writing. And I think that I think telling a story about it rather than kind of lecturing down about it to students, I was inspired by, and I feel like I say this all the time, I was very inspired by Richard Rorty's idea of sort of the difference between instruction and inspiration. And academic tracks have this sort of aura about them of like, we're telling you the way the world is, rather than, in a sort of instructional sense, lecturing down to students. And as opposed to telling a story that gets somebody to sit back, think, and imagine the world on their own terms. And then imagine the world not just as it is, but as it could be, consequently, the way you inspire them to think about it. I mean, that's sort of a elliptical rock for my...
No, but that is exactly what we're trying to get at, is so how this might relate to new schools, social change initiative, right? How is it that this kind of teaching, this kind of practice, which is inspirational and not instrumental, right, can produce a greater sense of, a greater social change product in the end. Right? I want to point to two different projects in your practice that maybe you can speak to briefly. And one is a house you were working on at the time that you were writing about. It's actually two houses. It's called East-West House. And the way that you present the house is, in the architectural language and plan section and elevation, but also in two very different narratives. One house is on the east coast and it looks out on the body of water. The other house is on the west, in a western desert, looking out over the desert, right? So there's a symmetry there, but there's asymmetry, and I think this symmetry and asymmetry, it works through the novel in very many different ways. So it's one family with these two houses, each with very different aspects.
I mean, you had mentioned this before, and I hadn't thought of this. But what's really interesting to me about your picking up on that was that these two houses are very much like the two sites that the book covers. One being New England and the other being Yucatan. And this idea of those two peninsulas nosing out from the New World toward the Old World across the Atlantic was a very important idea because they were both victims during the Age of Discovery, of course. European Anglicans from the world, New England, and the Spanish. So there's sort of interesting about these. Those two houses were being designed at the same time. I was very much aware of the kind of difference. Yeah, shared. Yes.
The way it is that you use writing in that project as a set of sequences and reorientations of view, changes in views of depth, right, is different than just to be expository, descriptive kind of writing about the project is this, the project is that. You actually describe the project. This may or may not have been the way that you described it to the client at the time, but it is certainly the way that you describe the project now is that it's a set of sequences as a story in space with material.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about this. And when Susan interviewed me, I looked at the sort of tropes of architecture, how you enter, how you move through it, how does it stand up, what's its structure, where does the light shine, where is it opaque, and that sorts of ideas that you also have when you're designing. I think everybody designs differently. I was talking about my students the other day. I always used to call myself, well, I'm a start at the front door designer as an architect. I don't know why. I just have this thing where I always like to know the ground's going to enter first, and then the building kind of almost, unfolds as I imagine one kind of moving sequentially through it. It's sort of like a matrix where you move along and the world is created, produced by your moving through it. So that's just the way I've always thought in terms of sequences, transition, penetration, location, connection, convocation, separation, and so on. And that's a very narrative way of thinking about it.
And then one last remark before I bring it up to Susan is the project you did as what could be described as your art practice, right? Which is Kaleidoscope House, which is in itself a fiction, right? And it uses the trope of miniaturization, right? And whatnot to create a set for a photographer to sort of reconstruct possible family narratives, right? So it's neither a sculpture, it's not a model of a house, nor is it really a sculpture. It's kind of an activating device in itself.
Yeah. Well, that's the family thing. The Kaleidoscope House. What was it called? The whole thing about domesticity and kind of play of the domestic sphere. Not just children's play, but our play by children. In the end of the day, the irony about the Kaleidoscope House and design is all house work for the kids, but the parents never let the kids touch it. They get too precious. They're not going to be, placed in the living room. It's sort of unfortunate, I thought.
Susan, what in the book sparked a couple of questions that you asked in the blog that I thought were very provocative. One was a reference to, is this book a kind of, this book's interest in nature and culture and history, is it somehow a response to or an apology for a kind of amnesia of the modernist? Was one that you provocatively brought up. And another was also on the topic of nature. How does this book maybe relate to, or how is what you read in the book, how did that strike up the question, Peter, how this might relate to a renewed sense of looking for nature and patterns of nature, systems of nature in design at present?
So here we are in this room that has no memory, and we are always in rooms mostly that has no memory. I mean, there's that column. Okay, there's a little memory. It says through this column, but there really isn't in any modernist architecture unless you bring it with you. So as I was reading it, and all this sort of incredibly rich world that you created was hitting me from all angles. It was religion, it was history, it was nature, it was behavior, it was psychology, it was all of those complex things that we are, and yet you spent your life designing these things. So I was thinking that was the book sort of an escape from your design?
Redemption.
Redemption. I mean, really, truly, because we are those incredibly complex creatures, and we live those incredibly complex lives, and we are the historic foundations of all that went on before, and so it's not as easy as, creating an empty room and then inhabiting it. So I was really interested in how you personally related to that as someone trained in modernist architecture, and how you felt about that. You saw that creation of that world, that rich and incredibly sort of florid world that you created, that was in such contrast to this.
Yeah. Well, I think I tried to kind of do that a little bit in my response to the first question. My undergraduate degree was as a painter and a sculptor. I was an artist. That's what I thought I wanted to be, and I was interested in formalism. I was just interested in really cool looking stuff. I didn't think about it from kind of social practice or humanistic way at all. And even when I got into architecture, I was just drawn formally. I mean, I went to Princeton architecture school because of Michael Graves, but not the Michael Graves you're all thinking of, but the Michael Graves who was doing white architecture, very, very complex modernist architecture in the 70s, early 70s. So I was a total formalist. But once you start making stuff, and you begin to see how people interact with the things you make, yikes, you suddenly see it in a very, very different way. It's no longer just a formal thing. It's like, there's stuff at stake there. There's stuff that you really have to be thoughtful about. And it goes beyond just, solving functional needs. It goes to a quality of life issue, that you're creating an environment. And, you would want to flourish in the environment, and, so do unto others as you would do unto you. So I think that interest grew, and it actually probably, to some degree, moved me away from my practice and more toward thinking about these ideas, teaching these ideas.